calling the LaPorte County government. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call may be recorded. If you know your party's extension, please enter it now. For public health, press 1. For public safety, including the sheriff's office, press 3. For clerks, courts, probation, prosecutors, corrections, press 8. For county clerks, press 1. For courts, press 2. Probation, press 3. For circuit court, press 1. For the self-help center, press 2. For Michiana
clerk's office.
Yes, I was trying to reach the circuit court.
Okay, just a minute.
Circuit Court, this is Rachel.
Hello, I was wondering if Jason was in by chance?
May I ask who's calling?
My name is Chris Throgmorton.
Chris? What's this pertaining?
I have a question about some legal information I'm hoping to get.
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Throgmorton?
Could you spell that for me, please?
THROGMORTON.
Okay. I don't want to spell it wrong. Thank you. Give me 1 second, okay?
Not a problem, thank you. Hello, Jason. Good morning. This is Chris Throgmorton.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Not too much. How are you today?
I'm here, just enjoying the snow out the window.
Enjoying our fine Northwest Indiana weather. All right.
Yeah, even until tomorrow, it'll be 70 degrees. It's okay.
I am a big, this is my favorite time of the year, and even I am ready to move to like Florida at this point.
Yep. What's up?
So I have a question. You may or may not, as usual, I have a very unique question that you may or may not be able to answer, and it may be legal information. It may borderline on legal advice. But you're like the best county employee that I know of with figuring out these very complex questions that I come up with. So, I ask this with the presumption that a court would want to be aware of this, I suppose, due to the fact of what I'm asking about. So essentially, if I was aware that an attorney had committed an act of perjury or an act of deception, or somebody under oath had committed an act of perjury, basically if somebody had been dishonest with the court in a proceeding, and I had, proof of this, there was evidence, it was pretty simple, would I presume, since I'm held to the same standard as an attorney, I would be obligated to report this, and I'm sort of trying to figure out if there's a preferred process, because I don't know if I would call the police, because perjury is a felony. If I would go to the prosecutor's office, if I would want to alert the court directly, but then there's things like ex parte communication. So, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know where exactly this goes into all that gray area at, but I would presume that there's a process for me to eventually present this to the court to rectify.
Now, as far as if it is someone that is a member of the Indiana Bar, your remedy there would be the disciplinary commission.
Okay.
Would be reporting it to the disciplinary commission as far as their legal standing as a licensed attorney.
Right. Now that would be more in regards to like the code of conduct or professional responsibility or whatever, right? Not not necessarily a spelled out in the statutes crime.
It's a whole separate entity, but that would be
and that's kind of
avenue.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering is, I mean, I would probably I would want to present this to a disciplinary commission as well, but that's what I was more trying to figure out is the language in the statute that makes it a felony. If I'm aware of that, who and where do I essentially take that information to so that they can do, whatever they're supposed to do with it, I guess?
I believe it would have to be reported to the prosecuting attorney directly. I know when the court has had issues, when we've become aware of those issues, we have reported it directly to the prosecuting attorney. Now, I don't know for a fact that that's the exact proper avenue, because obviously once you have the prosecutor's office become, once they receive notice of an alleged offense, as far as if they look into it, that makes them a party, which causes a whole other slew of issues as far as conflict and all that stuff.
That was going to be
the investigator, but they can't be the prosecutor then.
That was going to be my next question: is if the prosecutor's office has a conflict of interest with me, which would be where the information came from, can I present it to them?
You can technically present it to them, and then as far as like actually going anywhere with it, they can always seek a special prosecutor for the sole purpose of investigating the crime. Not that special prosecutor would do the investigation, but whatever agency was determined to investigate it, a special prosecutor would then review it. They do that. They can't say they do it all the time, but we have it happen when there is a conflict even prior to charging the case. That it's a known conflict. There's no way they can possibly even review it open-minded, being fair and impartial. So they could appoint someone ahead of time to take on the entire thing, basically, to do the investigation and look into it. We've had it with jurors before, certain witnesses giving testimony from the stand, to where, especially if it is one of the state's witnesses, obviously they can't then turn around and prosecute them for perjury.
Well, see, now that's the thing with my specific scenario that I would be presenting. Like, for instance, my cases, I have special prosecutors, and I have a special judge, even though I'm in a LaPorte County courtroom. And that's sort of what I was trying to figure out is, let's say it was in my scenario and I was aware of perjury given by a state's witness for a special prosecutor under a special judge. I have an avenue that I'm aware of to present it to the court/judge, but I'm not exactly sure if it would go in front of circuit court, which is the court that it happened in that has jurisdiction, or in front of the special judge that currently has the cause number. So my specific instances further complicate all of that general stuff.
Which just generally, even though it's still a circuit court case, or say if it is a circuit court case, right? If it is, that special judge would still have jurisdiction over it, even though the courts here, that judge would still be over that case. So even if it was filed here, it would still go to that judge. That doesn't change anything. There's no way to, in a specific case, once a special judge is appointed, there's no way to then have, like, say, Judge Alavisos or one of our magistrates review it outside of, because they don't have jurisdiction over it. They themselves. What if
the perjury was presented to Judge Alavisos prior to him recusing? would it still be the special judge that heard that?
Yes, it should still be the special judge, because once he recuses or is out of the case, he's done. He's put it out there that there's a conflict. He cannot be fair and impartial. It can't come back to him.
But
he would have to probably go to the Supreme Court.
That would then open him up to be a witness, I would presume.
Yes, that's the other issue. Is he would be a witness if something like that was. Obviously, if you're alleging something was said to him, then yes, he would then be a witness. But the same thing with the special judge. If something occurred in front of them and it was being reported, they would then become a witness as well. So that might cause issues, all hypothetically.
So let's say that there was information presented to the judge about me that was untrue. Would the burden still be on me to prove that? Would it still be on me? I mean, like, for instance, let's say that someone told the judge that I threatened the judge, and the judge knew that that was obviously untrue. Is it on me to request the judge to sanction that?
I believe you'd have to. At least if you were looking, it would be like any other legal proceeding. If you're seeking a remedy, obviously you have to. I mean, they say like with doctors and stuff like that, you have to be your own advocate. It's the same thing in the court. Now, mind you, if you're being accused of something, there's obviously protections that you don't have to.
Honestly,
say anything.
If we're speaking philosophically here, I would tell you that self-advocation is about the worst thing you can do in an American courtroom at this point.
In the American courtroom, yes, but
it has caused me literally nothing but problems myself.
No,
so.
yeah, it's.
For instance, I seen Judge Alavisos in the grocery store yesterday, and he was trying to ask me how Otis is currently trying to get Kim Hall to undo his order. And I didn't really have a response for the judge because I would think the judge would understand that. I'm kind of glad I didn't say my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's out of it, so I mean, we happen to see it come across, and
yeah, I mean that is exactly how an attorney like Nick Otis manages to do all this stuff. Is I have 21 recusals between the 3 criminal cases, which have somehow spilled over into all my civil cases. Essentially because Mitch Ficus tried to take my phone. Everyone in the county, everyone in the region has a conflict of interest now. And it has bled into... I'm not really sure how everybody has a conflict with Mitch Ficus and it affects every single case that I have. It seems like everybody has a conflict of interest with me, but nobody actually wants to say that. So,
well, now ours weren't transferred based on a conflict with you.
I mean, I've got multiple recusals from Alavisos. He doesn't really spell out why he's recusing. Nobody does. I mean, but at this point, I would say that I don't have equal access to the courts at all, based upon all the numerous conflict of interest that exist.
Yeah.
I personally don't have the same access to the courts that everybody else does. Which I'm sure you're aware of that, whether you can comment on it or not. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm trying to figure out. Is it seems like if I perjured myself, maybe I'll give it a whirl. Maybe I'll see what the process is for when a normal person walks into a courtroom and knowingly lies to a judge.
Yeah, I mean,
if I was a special part of the profession, like an attorney or a judge, I could just walk in here and perjure myself, and if some normal person without a law degree figures it out and is able to navigate through the process, they can hold me accountable, but no other judge or attorney is going to make the specific effort to hold me accountable to the rules of our profession. That's kind of what it seems like to me. It seems like it's a big club and I'm not in it. But that's just, speculative opinion, I suppose. But yeah, I guess I'll try to figure out a way to force this judge, or all the judges, to enforce their own orders and not let attorneys lie in their courtroom right to their faces, and then make wild accusations about me threatening the judges and then recuse based upon a conflict of interest that they don't really spell out. Anyway, so yeah, I'll figure out some way to navigate trying to get you guys to realize that perjury happened in your courtroom, and figure out who's responsible for enforcing that. But yeah, based upon my experience, I got a stack of court orders. I could probably build an origami staircase all the way up to the 3rd floor, and they're about useless when I have them, but they seem to be interfering with my life a great bit.
Yeah.
Like, I just had 3 secret trials. Yeah. But the topic is that Stavos and Friedman are arguing.
Don't even get me started on that.
I mean, I don't even want to get started on it myself. The LaPorte County Sheriff's Department kept public observers out of my trial at the behest of the county commissioners, and I think it's all fake. I think Friedman and Stavos are on the same team, and I think it's all distraction from much deeper issues, like the fact that we're holding secret tribunals in LaPorte County. Specifically for one guy, the political watchdog who's fucking everybody's shit up. But everything seems to be working smooth and functioning just fine for everybody else. Like Will Ficus, who somehow has a plea bargain that is confidential. Even though, nobody's got a conflict of interest with him or Mitch Ficus's lawsuits, or Alavisos didn't have a conflict of interest with Mitch Ficus when he handled the Patricia Lintner case. I know that. It seems that 2.5 years have went by, and every conflict of interest that anybody's quoted for me has been proven to be bullshit because the show must go on. But I presume there's an easier process, and I'll go ahead and figure it out, I guess, on my own. Presenting it to the court in the prosecutor's office is obviously going to do no good because I'm talking about a crime. Nobody in the courts or the prosecutor's office wants to hear about a crime unless it involves a normal, everyday, poor citizen. But if Nick Otis or Mitch Ficus or anybody else walks into these courtrooms and just starts lying through the side of their face, that's perfectly okay. I got to prove that it's perjury within a local system that has all but banned me from the building. Like, I've been removed from having access to the courts. So, in theory, the process that you kind of helped me with here might work for the everyday average person who didn't have a reason to utilize it, but for myself, this is pretty much non-existent. So, yeah. You could pass one message along for me if you could. Tell Alavisos that this shit happens because people like him let it. Nick Otis is going to get Judge Kim Hall to undo this because my case has went on for about 3 years now, and I've got both kids and all kinds of other shit to do, and I don't have time to argue with every bit of nonsense that the city of LaPorte pumps into the LaPorte County courtrooms, while judges sit back and basically act like cowards because my name is on a piece of paper. That's how this shit happens, is because Judge Alavisos is a coward and chose to recuse instead of actually standing on this language that he's putting in my orders. I didn't threaten the judge, and the fact that he let Otis say that shit and then recused because it presents a all these conflict of interest that everybody's lying about are the real conflict of interest. The real bias has been manifested against me, and it's my removal. It's me no longer having access to the courts locally. Like, maybe I'll go to Indianapolis and file my paperwork. Anyway, thank you for the super complicated path to getting everybody that works in that building to honor their oath because me, a layman, forced them to.
Well, I'll try and answer what I can. I mean, if you got questions,
at this point, I'm better off with a hole in the head than trying to fucking file any more paperwork. You guys have got your chilling effect on my First Amendment quite, it's come across quite clearly. I'm probably not going to file much more after this perjury thing because it's caused nothing but problems in my life. And my faith in the system is gone. This is why everybody asks me why I don't become a lawyer, and it's because I don't want to sell my soul for this bullshit. This is ridiculous. Like, my faith in the system is gone due to my personal experience in LaPorte County as a whole. So,
I always tell people that I have more respect for myself than to become an attorney.
I have a lot of respect for you personally, so I don't want you to take this. I mean, you are part of the whole, but you do stand out. I mean, you're kind of the sore thumb in a good way, or what is it, the something, yeah, the sore thumb gets hit or something. But you stick out in a good way. So I don't mean to come across like I'm lumping you in with everybody else, but as a general,
that's fine, man. Hey,
as a general experience,
I work for you. I work for you and every other citizen in this county. So
we should get you T-shirts. We should get you T-shirts and pamphlets that say that. Are you good with public speaking? Because we could use this message coming across from an insider.
Unfortunately, I don't know that I can, but yeah, I'm great. I'm fine with it.
But again, thank you. You answered more than you probably think. I was curious how, this is a gray area that I haven't looked into too much. So, and as usual, my questions are kind of unique and border on legal advice. So,
yeah, but like I said, if I can answer something, I will. So
I figured if I could narrate it through a process that I thought existed, make it, I don't want to get you in any nonsense because things get misinterpreted with this whole legal information versus legal advice. In my opinion, you're like right on the money. We're knowing where that line is usually. I paid attention very, very closely, and the little itty bit of schooling I did take, I was very, very keen on the ethics and what lines I can tiptoe on and which ones I can't even come near. So, from a public service standpoint, this is like make or break, to be honest, because the whole I can't give you legal advice pretty much shuts down most pleasant conversations with a public official. I mean, I see a lot of people that just try to get basic information, and the conversation gets shut down with I can't give you legal advice, based upon not knowing where this line in the sand is usually and wanting to be careful. But then it creates basically an ultimately negative experience for the customer or the citizen, the public, who views it as basically being brushed off. So, I mean... Oh, yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, because the public is our customer. We're here to serve you. You pay our salary. It is what it is. But... no, it's always been a sore spot for me that absolutely we have to be able to answer questions about procedure. I've never gotten frustrated with you and had to be like, hey buddy, you work for me, which shows the quality of essentially customer service that you provide. Like if you're in an establishment with poor customer service, that's where you're more likely to see somebody flexing that they spend so much money there because they're having a problem. Like you basically approaching this as a public service kind of thing where you're essentially providing a service to a customer makes all the difference. I mean, it's a simple mindfulness, but I swear, like, you are probably like the best county employee as far as this goes. Like, yeah, well, don't tell people that because then they want stuff. So. They watch my videos. I swear some of them pick up on some of this stuff, so it's, Well, yeah, I've seen a few of them, and you feel free to tell anybody that doubts that I pick up the phone. Tell them to call me. Give them my extension. I answer. If I'm here, if I'm not in the middle of something else or a trial, anybody's welcome to call me at any time. So I'll answer what I can. You're probably the only city or county employee that I'll actually go out of my way to defend on my YouTube if somebody tries to say something bad about you. But yeah, anyway, very thankful as usual. I'm very thankful. Apologies. You're very informative as usual. Thank you for your time. I'll let you go ahead. I imagine you guys are busy still, just the same. I gotta get back to it myself. So. Sounds good, Chris. Take it easy. Have a good day. You too. Bye-bye. Bye.